Hey, what is up everyone? So with Season 12 coming to an end and Season 13 releasing in a couple days, I thought it's a good time to go ahead and take a look at Season 12, talk about my thoughts with it, and discuss whether or not it was one of the greatest seasons, one of the worst, or just mediocre. So Season 12 is more similar to some of the seasons that we've got in the past, like Season 5, where it's not like one big feature, similar to what Season 13 is going to be, where it's going to be some big features added that are going to be changing up the gameplay. Season 12 is really just a combination of a bunch of different little things. So some of those things include new weapons, some different types of items, and improvements to existing things like the harpoons and being able to tightrope walk on them. But nothing this season was really anything that was like a new gameplay feature. There was no like new type like C4 or new world event or anything. That is going to happen in Season 13, which I'm really excited for. So for this video, I want to take a look at the key parts of the season, talk a little bit about the season pass. I already talked about the plunder pass in another video, which I'll link for you to watch if you want to watch that, and just talk about my general thoughts of the entire season. My favorite thing out of everything added in Season 12 has to be the daggers. I was really excited for them when they got announced, and just being able to play with them and use them in the game has been really fun. For most of the season, I really only used them in a PvE context, because I was really just trying to understand the weapon and get like a good handle on like how to use it, how to aim with it, and all that stuff. And I feel like I've gotten to the point where I'm really comfortable with using it. And I've now started using it in PvP as well as we've gotten towards the end of the season. So this has really changed up my gameplay in the sense of usually I was used to just using the flintlock or the blunderbuss along with my sword, and now I'm adding the daggers into that mix. The other weapon we got this season was the double barrel pistol, and when the season first launched, I thought it was really bad. It was very clunky to use. After a few monthly updates, it has gotten a lot better, and I actually do enjoy using it. I still think charging up the double barrel is a little bit clunky, and like I have so many times where it just like doesn't work and I have to like stop the button and like redo it again and stuff. But otherwise, I am really enjoying it. However, I haven't gotten to the point where I want to use it in PvP yet like I have with the daggers. I still, if I'm going to use like a pistol type weapon, I'd rather just go with the flintlock instead of the double barrel. But I have a feeling this will change as I just get more used to using it and get used to the clunkiness of the charging mechanic. And I think these two new weapons are probably my favorite part of Season 12 because it's really the thing that makes Season 12 super unique. It's the first time in all of Sea of Thieves history that we've gotten two new weapon loadouts that can be permanently added to your inventory. Obviously, we've had the Eye of Reach, the Cutlass, the Blunderbuss, and the Flintlock. Those have existed since launch. So getting these two new weapons is a huge deal for the game. Another thing that I really do like is the Bone Collar. I would say it's a little too rare for me. It seems that I don't find it too often when I'm playing, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because you don't want it to be spawning too often or else people are just going to be throwing them like crazy and it's just going to be everywhere. But it does feel like I'll go many games when I'm playing and I'll just never see it, and then there's some games where I play and I find like several of them. It would be nice if they were a little bit more frequent in places like active skeleton forts or stuff like that. Then it would make it, a little bit more predictable of where you can go if you're trying to find these types of items. Similar to what we have with say like tridents, where you can always find tridents inside the Sunken Kingdom. Speaking of the Sunken Kingdom, one thing that's been really disappointing with Season 12 is the wind collar. I literally have never seen the wind collar in game. Never seen anyone else using it. I've never been able to find it. I've done many of the sunken treasuries and even gone to the shrines and gone through shipwrecks and everything where they said that these items would be. And I've never found it. It's never been in any of the ones I've gone to. So that has been very disappointing to me. I think that should be a guaranteed reward for the treasury. And if, maybe they make it so that there's different versions of it. Maybe there's like a weaker version of the wind collar if they don't want it to be too prevalent. Maybe put the weaker version inside the treasury every time and then the more powerful one as kind of like a random one. Not sure if they even need to do that, but it's been very disappointing that this is like a big feature of Season 12 and I have never seen it for the last 3 months that we've played the game. Something that I do think they've done perfect with availability on, though, is the scattershot. I really like the scattershot. I know a lot of people haven't enjoyed it. I've seen like some of the comments in past videos talking about it. But I think it's a great new weapon for ship combat. I find that it fits really well in my arsenal with like the chain shot in this. And I think like the chain shot, it has a very specific use, and it's really great in those moments to have it. Like, so when you're close up to another ship and just being able to fire them like crazy and then take them out a lot quicker than just using a regular cannonball. I really like that our ship spawns with a handful of them every time you get on the game. That makes it great, and I find that just fighting them naturally in the world is the perfect amount of availability. It's not too frequent, but it's also not too rare as well. Another big feature of Season 12 was the ziplines, which, to be honest, I feel like out of all the features outside of the wind collar, which like I said, I never have even gotten to try or see in the world, ziplines are probably the most underwhelming to me, and mainly because I feel like these would have been a big deal if they were added back in Season 10 right after the Monkey Island introduced them, but because they just were, added in Season 12, as well as just being, kind of overshadowed by the harpoon tightroping, which I'll talk about in a moment, I don't really find myself really caring about them. The only one that I really use is the one on Ancient Spire, just because it's conveniently there to get to the dock. But honestly, in most places where you could use a zipline, I typically find that it's faster for me to just sword lunge down if I can get into the water somewhere. So even like on Ancient Spire, like I just mentioned, a lot of times it's faster for me just to sword lunge and then get to my ship that way than to take the zip line down and then land on the dock and then go onto the ship. I'm not saying it's a bad addition, I just think that it doesn't really have much of an impact now added in Season 12 as opposed to if it was added when the Monkey Island stuff was added. I think back then there would have been a lot more hype for this type of feature, and it just wouldn't have been so underwhelming to me. But like I just mentioned, there was another feature that was in Season 12, and that's harpoon tightrope walking. Now, this is really cool. I think this is a great feature, and I love that the harpoon just continues to evolve and get better and better as time has passed since its introduction. But I will say, I think while the harpoon tightroping is a lot of fun, it's a little bit buggy. I find myself glitching a lot when going on it, but I still use it a lot. I think it's really great for carrying treasure back and forth to your ship. I use it a lot when I'm like at a sea fort or something, and I just harpoon it onto the dock there, and I kind of just run my treasure back onto the ship. This is actually a lot safer to do than just leaving your treasure piled up and then harpooning at the end, because if, say, another ship was starting to approach, you already have the treasure on your ship, and you can just kind of get going and either go engage in the fight or get out of there if you want to. So it actually is very useful to me, and especially with the skeleton forts, since those are a little bit more rocky, sometimes with a little more higher elevation, they've been really essential for those to be able to get the treasure back down to the ship quickly. One thing I haven't tried it out in, which I would love to try one day, is being able to like harpoon to another ship and cross that way. I actually haven't seen anyone do that, and one of my worries before Season 12 was that both the wind collar and the harpoon tightrope walking would make being a solo player a lot more difficult, and honestly that just hasn't been my experience yet. No one has really, come up with their ship and harpooned onto me and then started tightrope walking to me. And like I said before, I have never seen anyone use a wind collar either, so no one's been able to use that to like catch up to my ship as a solo player and they're like a galleon or something. So it's been an interesting experience, and I'm happy that it's not overwhelming for solo players right now. But I am excited for the days when tightrope walking is a more often occurrence for boarding. I think that will be a lot of fun, and hopefully that happens in Season 13 for me, and I can, have that gameplay as background footage in another video. So that covers a lot of the main gameplay features of Season 12. I would say it's, pretty varied in terms of my opinion on everything overall. There's stuff that I really love, like the daggers, the bone collar, and scattershot. And then there's other stuff that I'm a little bit underwhelmed with, like the wind collar or the zip lines. And then you have stuff in the middle, like the double barrel pistol. But overall, I think these are great additions, and it's a much more impactful update to the game as opposed to, say, with Season 9 or Season 10. But obviously there's other stuff that goes along with every season, like the Season Pass. So the Season Pass, I think, had some really great stuff. I wouldn't say it's our best Season Pass, but I would say there's some things that I really liked in it, like the famous pirate eye patch, famed Buccaneer Scar, Wild Rose music box, and my favorite, the Headless Horseman figurehead. All of these were really great, I think. I would say our level 100 rewards I thought were a little bit underwhelming. I didn't really care for them, like the boot and stuff. I don't know, I think it could have been a lot better, but I'm not against it either. In terms of the Plunder Pass, I'll leave a link to my full Plunder Pass review if you want to check that out. but I would say this is a little bit of a mediocre Plunder Pass. There's some stuff that I really like in this set, and then there's some stuff that I just don't really care for. It's our first one with a premium curse added to the game in the Plunder Pass, so that was interesting, but if I'm being quite honest, I prefer getting the costumes in the Plunder Pass, or I'd rather just see like a mixture of stuff each season so it's not so same every time. When the season system first started out, we used to get costumes and emotes and lots of different things in the Plunder Pass, and now it just doesn't seem like we get anything like that anymore. But now we get to my actual thoughts of the season overall. And while I do think there's some really great features added this season, this is probably one of my least played seasons overall. And some of that just has to do with, it being summertime and being on vacation and stuff and, working and other things. So it's not necessarily all Sea of Thieves' fault for this, but I do find myself wanting to play other games more right now. I've been playing a ton of Fortnite these past 2 seasons that they've had for Fortnite. I think they've been really fun. I've played a few other games. There's a game called Arcade Paradise that's actually free right now on PC. You're looking for a game recommendation, I think that's a lot of fun. I've been playing that a good amount, and just a few other things. And Sea of Thieves for the last few seasons has struggled to keep my interest. And mainly the reason is I just don't know what to do when I get into the game. This is the same thing I said when we got into Season 11, where, they did all these changes to the diving and all that stuff, and they extended the levels for all the trading companies, and that, that was great. Having the distinction system was great. But you get into the game, and you basically kind of look around and you're like, okay, so what new is there for me to do? I've been doing Sea Forts since Season 6, like 3 years ago. I can only do that for so long until I'm ready to do something else. It just gets kind of boring, and you're looking for something new to do. That's kind of the same problem I had with Season 12. So if you take that, and really if we're being honest, this has been my opinion since, I would say, Season 8. The PvP update was great for the first few months, but honestly, our class has had so many problems that I didn't really care to do it anymore. And then, we had Season 9 and Season 10. Those were really long seasons that took a while to get out and didn't really add anything too great to the game. I would say the most impactful thing out of last year was the Skull of Siren's Song, which I actually have been doing a lot more of, mainly because I just want to do the commendation for it and get that done. And I find that they're honestly just really easy to do because no one really competes for it, which obviously is not what they intended for it. But outside of that, there really hasn't been anything significantly new to do in the game when you get there. So while getting these dagger weapons or the double barrel pistol or bone callers and stuff are all great things added to the game, if you don't have anything new to do with them, then what's the point of having them, is kind of my thought. That's not to say I haven't, been playing the game. I've been doing lots of raid voyages, lots of the skeleton forts, sea forts, treasuries, that kind of stuff still. And I've been able to test out a lot of these new items, doing those type of things. But in terms of, am I having a ton of fun this season? I wouldn't say I am. With that said though, I think Season 13 is looking to be a great update. They're going to have the skeleton camps, which I'm really excited for. That's basically going to be kind of like the sea forts in the sense that, you can do the raid voyages to them. They're kind of able to be active at any point, at any time, like the sea forts are, or the signed treasuries. So I think having an update like that, along with the whole world event with the Burning Blade and stuff, is all going to be really great stuff. So I think Season 12, while maybe on its own isn't my favorite season, the stuff that it adds is going to make Season 13 and everything coming after that so much better. But with that, that's all my thoughts on Season 12 of Sea of Thieves. I'd love to hear all y'all's thoughts in the comments below. Did you really like the season? Did you not like the season? And let me know, out of all the little features that were added in Season 12, which one of them is your favorite. But that's all I have for this video. If you enjoyed, it'd be great if it was a like and subscribed. And until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Bye y'all.